Today, I am joined by Alicent. Ali is a confidence coach and certified NLP practitioner. She specializes in supporting ambitious women move from hesitation to action by helping them to dissolve overthinking, break through mental barriers, and build a foundation for personal growth and professional success. Alicent is also the founder of the Women of Color Founders Network, a transformative space where driven women of color are supported to build businesses, wealth, and legacy. Welcome, Ali.
Thanks, Sol. Thanks for that lovely introduction. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you. And Ali is also one of the panel speakers at our event, Leadership Skills for Founders, that will take place at the Precinct on the 29th of May. And I'm very grateful for you to join us because I deeply admire your work. And I believe that what you do is serving the community because we need that empowerment to be able to found our own business. And there are some people there that have told me like they had business ideas, but they did not have the courage to start their own business. So the idea for the event and for today is to discuss what it means to lead a business and what it takes, because I believe it takes confidence, and you as a confidence coach, an authority in the field. So please share about yourself. How did you become a confidence coach, and what do you think it means or it takes to lead your own business?
Yeah, sure. So my entrepreneurial journey actually started more than 10 years ago when my husband and I co-founded our digital marketing agency. And that was my very first foray into entrepreneurship. I did not come from a family of entrepreneurs. My husband did. So for me, it was completely getting into territory that I never actually foresaw myself going into, because I was happy with my 9-to-5 job. I was loving doing my marketing job. But then an opportunity came to say, hey, why don't we start our own business? So I must say at the very beginning, it was really scary. But it was also very exhilarating at the same time. Oh, I can be my own boss. I can build a team. I can do what I really love, but with the skill sets that I can bring to the table. And then fast forward to today, the reason why I became a confidence coach is because I've worked with a lot of women, particularly migrant women in our communities. And I felt that when I was starting my business as a migrant woman, being still fairly new to Australia, it was daunting because I was a new entrepreneur, but it was even more daunting because I lacked the support. And whenever I went to networking events or conferences, it was very hard for me to feel like I belonged, because I looked around the room and there were amazing people there, but I felt like I would gravitate naturally towards migrant people, whether they're men or women, because we share a common theme, like we share a story. And each and every single time when I have those conversations, it just inspires me. And I went, look, surely there must be something out there that will enable us to pull all of our communities together so that we can learn from one another, inspire one another, and make us feel like we're not so alone in the entrepreneurial journey, which Sol, as well, can be very lonely at times. But without that power of community around us, it can feel even more daunting and lonely. And that's the reason why I stepped into coaching, because also having done my NLP certification, I was very much into how the mind works. Like, I'm always a curious child, I'm always one of those children who asks multiple questions, like, why is this? And how does the world work? I've always been very intrigued with life in general and world and how our minds work. So it just made sense for me at the time. And it felt so natural to be drawn towards NLP. So once I've done my certification, I got the tool set. And during that training, I was also able to work on myself. And I always told my NLP coaches that that whole entire experience was like a reset, a mental reset for me. And once I've had those tools in my toolkit, I went, there was another thing, like community is great. But I think having the power of community is one thing. But I think a lot of the times, particularly for us women, a lot of the stuff goes on in our minds. So how do I then impart what I've learned in my training to help other women succeed in their businesses? Because this was something that I've never had access to. And I wanted to provide that accessibility for women or even men. I have, men clients who've worked with me before. So it's about how do I support others with the skill set and knowledge that I know as a confidence coach to help them get out of their minds so that they can step into that future and that business that they so desire, but there's always something kind of keeping them back. And that's where I became a confidence coach to help basically empower people all around me to step into their goals and dreams.
I love it. And we have so much in common because when I started my own business, I saw that need to empower migrant people to become more confident speakers so they can reach their goals. They can just go for that opportunity that scared them. So I believe like we were like looking at the same problem from different angles, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And the mindset for me is the first thing we need to work on, because if we want to improve how we communicate, we need to first be aware of how we talk to ourselves, right? And what challenges have you found amongst your clients that are the ones that are keeping them back? Like, is it imposter syndrome? Is it just the feeling of not belonging, as you mentioned? What do you feel is the most common fear?
The most common fear that I see in my clients is self-doubt. And definitely imposter syndrome is a big one. Like the funny thing is that we talk about imposter syndrome, but a lot of people don't actually know what that means until we start to unpack it for them. So these are the two really common things, particularly I see around our migrant communities, is that, when you're in a brand new country, a lot of the times you're told that your local experience doesn't translate. And that's one thing that really frustrates me because, like a lot of these amazing people have got so much experience that they've taken from their home countries to want to start that career or that business in a foreign country, but to be told that they don't have that local experience, that self-doubt magnifies. Because coming to a new country, it's already daunting and you're kind of leaving the comforts of home and you're taking that risk as well to come into a new country to build the dream life that you want for yourself, and then being told that you're not good enough because you don't have local experience or you don't speak a certain way or you don't appear a certain way. I think that compounds it a lot. And that's the biggest challenge that I've seen. So what I usually do with my clients is unpack, because I like to get to the root of that, because telling someone to write affirmations, I'm worthy and I'm good enough on the mirror is great, but as you know, as an embodiment coach, if you don't embody that and what does that mean to you, and really breaking it down to why is self-doubt there in the first place, why is imposter syndrome there in the first place, if we don't dig deep and get to that root cause layer, it's going to be very hard for us to shift. And also, I often like to talk about generational patterns that we've inherited from generations, be it from our foremothers or forefathers. We were born on this planet as, spirits or souls who have not had any programming before. You might have if you believe in reincarnation, and that's a different topic altogether. But, as babies and as children, who do we look up to? We look up to our parents, to our families, to the people who surround us. And we adapt these behaviors and patterns that are not necessarily ours to carry. So say, for example, I came from an Asian country in Singapore, and I was really fortunate because my family was very open and they were very encouraging. But I have had really close girlfriends in Singapore where they came from really traditional families who always put boys as more superior than girls. So what happens then is that they grow up with the narrative that because I'm a woman, I'm not going to be good enough to pursue my education. And all my life I have known, because I've seen my foremothers and my mother do this, it's all they do is be moms. And if lo and behold, they decide to go and pursue a business or a career, they'll get frowned upon. And that's where, friends of mine have been carrying this guilt around with them because they want to do more with their lives. They want to strive professionally. They want to build their own businesses, but then they have children. So there's always a bit of that conflict where they go, well, I've been told that if I am a mother, I have to dedicate my entire life to my family, and I should not be even thinking about pursuing professional success. And that on the other hand, they're like, well, I've got more to do with my life. It's always that push and pull. And that's very common that I've seen in the women that I've coached, because a lot of my clients do come from migrant backgrounds. And it's about really teaching them to reclaim that power and acknowledge that all of this programming and patterns that they've inherited are not theirs to carry anymore. It might have served them as a survival strategy for a period of time when we were little and we were defenseless, and all we could do is rely on our parents and our families to support us. But it comes to a point when we are grown women. So it's about showing them you're a grown woman now and you don't have to carry that anymore. So yeah, so having those conversations, seeing those transformations, I must say it's the biggest gratification that I get out of my work.
And it's really beautiful to see when that happens, when that transformation takes place and people are able to let go of their limiting beliefs and start
Exactly.
taking action towards their aspirations, their dreams, their goals. And then it comes to a point where you have decided to start your own business and you realize that it is isolating and
Yes.
that it is challenging and that you need to develop a set of skills
Yep.
or strengths. And I wanted to ask, in your opinion, what are those strengths that founders should have to be able to survive the struggles of owning your business? Because it means that you have to be responsible for everything you do.
Yeah, exactly. I think the biggest strength or asset, as I would put it, is self-leadership. Because the moment you've made a decision to start your own business, you're taking on the role of a leader. And I think a lot of people just think about leadership as when you have a team. But for me, it's all about starting with self. Because if you're not a leader within yourself, as in, if you don't portray that leadership energy, if you can't make decisions, or there's something kind of holding you back and you're still kind of working on it, it's going to be a little bit difficult for you to step into that that whole experience of being an entrepreneur. Because like majority of us have come from corporate professions, and when you're in a corporate profession, you're told what to do, right? You're given a to-do list by your boss or your manager, and all you need to do is make sure that you do your job and do it well. And then you earn your paycheck at the end of the month, and that's it. But when it comes to business, if you don't have that self-leadership and you're used to just being told what to do, you're going to have to switch that around. And I think that was the biggest struggle I had in the early days of my entrepreneurship journey, is kind of making those decisions for myself and trusting myself that, hey, I don't need someone to tell me that I should be this way, or I should behave this way, or I should turn up at these events, or I should do a certain thing in a certain way. I have full autonomy to do it. And if you don't have self-leadership, then you can't trust yourself to make those bold decisions. And the other thing as well is be willing and open to accept that sometimes decisions that you've made are not necessarily the best, but they have to be made for a reason, because that's how you learn. And I think a lot of the times we stop ourselves in the tracks because of the whole corporate mentality that, hey, if I don't do this well, if I don't do it perfectly according to what my boss expects of me, then I'm going to be in trouble. But the beauty about owning a business is that you are the leader in that. You get to call the shots, you get to make the actions, and you get to also learn from mistakes or decisions that you've made that didn't really go according to plan. So I think it's about that self-leadership. And the greatest thing I've learned is that if you embody that within yourself, and when you do have a team of people whom you hire and train and you're grooming them, then they will start to embody your leadership skills as well. So I think that's really important, because, like, as we all know, if you have an angry boss that's always, like micromanaging you and being angry and being really hard to please, then what's going to happen with the team? They're all going to feel deflated, and I don't want to work for that person anymore. I don't feel like I earned my place. But if you can embody that within yourself already and be able to trust yourself and henceforth trust your team, then you're kind of mirroring off each other. So I think that's the biggest lesson, or the biggest thing that I've taken away from business that I would take for me for the rest of my life.
And I believe that when we become leaders, we also are aware of the leaders we had before and the things we liked and didn't like about them. So we can become the better leader we can, and the one we wish we had. So is there anyone in your career that had inspired you to do the work that you do?
Yeah, absolutely. And I often very fondly speak of my very first boss, and she was the one who hired me straight out of university, and I'm always really grateful. I'm actually still in touch with her through socials, because the reason why I look up to her, and I still look up to her, it's because being a woman in the advertising industry, and we all know like advertising marketing industry is very male dominated. And at the time when she hired me, she was only an account director, and now she's the vice president of one of the largest advertising groups worldwide. What she's always taught me is to stand firm for yourself and what you believe in, and never let rank or whatever level or title that you've got stop you from speaking your truth. And she was really good at that, because I remember when you're brand new, you're out of university, you don't know anything. When you're in a big meeting, particularly with clients, you shrink yourself. You're like, oh, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to sit here and take notes, because if I say something, I might get in trouble, or I might say something silly. But she's always been so encouraging, and she's always got, Ali, you've got a voice, and I know you're really good at what you do, and I know you've got fantastic ideas. So please share them with the clients and share them with the team, because that's what we need you here for. Not to be a mouse in the corner. We want you to be the woman that you're meant to be. And I've learned so much from her, just seeing her being so confident and stepping into her full self. And she's not one to shy away from speaking up. And she's never shy from sharing her opinions, even if it juxtaposes the other person's opinions. She's never one to back off. So I've learned that confidence from her, and each and every time when I feel myself shrinking, I remember Lucy's voice in the back of my head saying, you've got this, you've got a voice, own it, use it, because you've got so much to give. So I'm always really grateful to her. And she was the one who hired me fresh out of university, and then rehired me when she moved to another agency. She just called me and go, do you want a job? Because I need someone. And you don't even have to interview, you just have to interview with my other colleague that you'll be reporting to. And if she loves you, you've got the job. So it was great. And she really opened up the doors for me in those early days of the career. I'm always really grateful and thankful for that.
Isn't it interesting that a good leader is not the one with the loudest voice, but the one who gives voice to others?
Exactly.
And sees the value in them before they even do, and believes in them. So I believe that your story is beautiful. I connect so much with it. And that's what inspired me to create the Speak Out Loud program, because I know the value and the talent of many people who are not expressing themselves and showing their full potential. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm glad to hear that from a young age you were encouraged to use your voice, and that you're still doing it, and that has a ripple effect, and it's creating communities around you and what you believe in. So as well, as you mentioned before, I truly believe in the power of community and surrounding yourself with the people who are experiencing what you want to experience. Like sometimes, because people do not own a business, they are hesitant to go to events or places where they can interact with business owners. But I believe that if you have a business idea, for example, it would be very beneficial to get to talk to other people who own their own businesses. And that's why I want to invite everyone who is willing to start a business to join us for our Leadership Skills for Founders event. And before we say goodbye, I will see you there on the 29th of May.
Looking forward to it.
I would love to, if you could just leave us with an insight, something you have learned in your own leadership journey as part of the Founders Network that you have created.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the biggest takeaway, this is speaking to anyone who might be looking to start a business, is that, don't ever think that you're starting from scratch, and don't ever think that because you have not had a business before that your skills are not transferable. Any skills that you have from a personal life perspective, or even from your corporate career perspective, is always transferable. And, you have to just look back and reflect on those qualities and those strengths and that experience, and you can take that into business. Because I think a lot of the times, particularly for people who are coming out of corporate careers and going to businesses, the first thing that stops them in their track is they will tell themselves, well, I don't know how to start a business because I've never done one before. But if you look at it, the many, many years you've had up your sleeves working for someone else or working in a profession, what are those skill sets that are transferable? And I can guarantee you that you'll find lots of skills that are transferable. So don't ever let that I'm a first entrepreneur, I'm the first business owner, I don't know what to do, stop you in your tracks. Look back, reflect on everything, even from your personal life. There's so many skills that are transferable. So don't let that stop you in your tracks.
Definitely from motherhood, I have also learned a lot about leadership. I don't know if you agree.
100%. Yeah, our kids are our biggest teachers, I always believe. Like personally, for me, my kids have taught me patience and going with the flow. Because as with children, like how many times can you count in your fingers that if you tell them to do something, they won't do it. So it's how do you work with that, and how do you have that patience? I was always told that I'm the most impatient person on the planet, but ever since I had children, I am like the most patient person on the planet. And that's again a skill that's transferable into business. You can't rush things. There's no overnight success. So it's about building, having that patience, having that trust, and being able to move with the flow, not against the flow.
I love it. Thank you very much, Ali. It's been lovely to talk to you today.
My
I really look forward to seeing you in person very soon.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to the event.
Thank you. I'll see you there.
See you there. Thanks, Sal. Bye.